Anyway, let's get down to more basics. Let's talk about money. Now this is a very key presentation. So I tell you it won't work, you can take a nap because you won't need to listen the rest of the day. So I guess you take that into consideration. So what is irrigation scheduling? And again, this is a technical term. Irrigation scheduling refers to the process of allocating water based on meteorological and field conditions. Intent to maximize profit and conserve water. Now, what it involves, for the most part, when you think of irrigation scheduling, is soil moisture probes, thermal sensors, ET networks, remote sensing, scheduling programs, some combinations of those, whatever works, whatever floats your boat, to modify it from your normal practices. Now, what I'm going to show you, I searched high and low for people who have done economic analysis on this. We were looking at it, but I had to do it. And I did it off our data, but there is one other study that was done. I'll show that to you, just one page of it, because they made some references to economics, but I know the guy, he's an engineer, so I trust him. Analysis of the 212 demonstration data, and then I'm also going to bring up the Senate Bill 5, because it's on the back of my mind, and I've been working on that, and what's shown up there. So this 212 data, and the objectives of here was to assess the change in yield per acreage of water applied, by implementing irrigation scheduling. Okay, now everybody remembers this 212 data set. And now to come back in and estimate the potential economic value for implementing it. Again, the focus would be corn production, because this is what it was on. This is what the 212 in the North Plains put together. Only looking at the potential benefits, not the cost, but yeah, we'll talk about the cost just briefly. It's coming up in the Senate Bill 5. So basically this 212 project that they ran for 5 years. And I used 2012, 13, 14 data throughout 10 and 11. Okay? The reason I threw out 10 and 11 because they had no controls. So yeah, you're doing this, but I don't know compared to what the data get. So went ahead and threw those out and used these 3 years, okay? Because you have to have a control plots to make it work. So the idea is to assess the change in yield per acreage of water applied by implementing irrigation scheduling in irrigated corn production. Basically, what the producers were asked to do is, okay, do what you normally do. Here, we're going to have this irrigation scheduling things, and the doctor of irrigation engineering, or the father of irrigation engineering, Leon New, who will be here next session, kind of managed what was going on with these producers, okay, and how they applied it. So we started to look at that. And here's the basic results that came out of this thing. When we looked at it, again on the controls, over the 3-year period, they were putting on just a little under 22 inches, yielding a little over 200 bushels. I remember this is back 12, 13, 14. Okay, so basically they were getting about a little over 9 bushels per acre and inch applied. And compared to the demonstration, where they're putting on 18 inches, using irrigation scheduling, again trying to crank that thing down to see how much yield they could get. They're getting 183, or basically 10 bushels per acre inch applied. So basically, when you look at the change in yield, it's about 9.7%, okay, per acre inch. Big difference, okay? I'm going to talk about profitability, because it's a perfect, this is based over 30 observations. Okay, how realistic is this? This is the other study that I found, and it was done by Joe Hingler at the University of Missouri. Now, Joe actually was in Texas at one point, and basically it ran from 2000 to 2008. and they looked at irrigation scheduling. They had irrigators who scheduled, irrigators who did not schedule. Okay. Bushels or pounds per acre, and basically they interpreted this into the gross returns from scheduling based on 350 corn, 60 cent cotton, 750. And so the gross returns from scheduling, those that are running the scheduling programs and that, turned out to be $46 more to $51 more per acre. Okay. Now, or percentage increase in gross returns, 7.5 for corn, 9.3 from cotton, 15 from soybeans. This is out of Missouri study. Now, what did I say the 212 yielded? How much of an increase was that? 7.9 something.
9.7.
9.7? Yep, 9.7. So what I'm saying is there's others out there that show basically that we're going to see some sort of yield increase in irrigation scheduling rather than just following the normal, which may be turning on or whatever. So if we look at it, again, coming back to the 212, and 12 is about a 10% increase. It got up to be almost a 14, and then down to closer to a 5, and overall that 9.7% increase in yield per acre inch applied, okay, from following irrigation scheduling. I put this one in here because as an economist, you wouldn't guess that I tend to be skeptical of things at times. This is the distribution of the different observations. Okay, is increase over control. And you notice we have some losses, and notice how spread these distributions are. In 12, in 13, in 14 they clustered. Now again, this could be the environmental conditions that existed in 14. Or if I was kind of a skeptical type, I would say maybe I started to see that how the scheduling is working, and I might have somehow played my practices over a little bit on my control. Just, I just checked it. Okay, so let's start with the economic value. And basically, I did two ways on this thing. I did the quick and dirty, which I call the back of the envelope procedure. And what I did was adjust the yields, assuming the same amount of water is applied to the demonstration as was done with the control. Okay? Just a way to get to it. So if you look at it, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and calculate the value of irrigation scheduling by multiplying the increase in the price, or increase by the price average, the price received in the demonstration period. Oh, you'll love this. During that time period, the average price for corn was $5.57. Them were the days. Harvest expense is $41. So given that, I automatically went and said, yeah, we're going to do a little sensitivity analysis on this thing and look at a little bit different prices. So bringing this back again, to remind you, the control averaged 9.22, demonstration averaged a little over 10 bushels per acre inch, and that was a 9.72% increase. That's over the 30 yields. So if we look at the quick and dirty approach, is what I did is I took that 201 bushels, okay, and I had that 9.72% increase if I went ahead and did it with irrigation scheduling. So if I did that, that would be another 19. So what I'm taking is that 21, almost 22 inches now and saying, okay, I'm going to put at the same efficiency I had in the demo, now I'm going to apply the same amount of water. We'll call that, just extrapolate that efficiency to get there. So if you look at it, so that 9.72% increase you're getting on the per bushel, that gives you up to about 220 or so, 19.5 bushel increase. Market price, $5.57 minus the harvest cost. That's $100 an acre from the irrigation scheduling. Kind of sort. Okay? Now, of course, you get down to reality. We're not there anymore. Actually, we're probably down about here. That could be up to $70 an acre, somewhere from $60 to $90 an acre. Okay? From 3.5 to 5. And that's just going with that increase that you're getting from using irrigation scheduling versus just being what you normally do. Okay? So there's some good money in that. Another way to look at it is the returns above direct expenses, because those expenses change, obviously. So basically calculate the, or like we economists like to call it, RAD. Okay? Returns above direct expenses. For the control versus the demonstration, because obviously you're going to have differences in maybe irrigation, seed, fertilizer, harvest costs. Calculate the difference and the returns over direct expenses, RAD per acre inch between each. Calculate the value of the additional water pumped in the control versus the demonstration. There's some things I want to point out on this thing. Calculate the loss and the value. So when we look at this, we're coming right back down to it. So if we're looking at the controls, basically we're coming down to that under the control, you're averaging about $21 an acre inch. Okay? That comes back to the cover crop thing too. And versus the demo where you're practicing irrigation scheduling of $22, $23. Okay, so you basically get another $1.68 per acre inch. Everybody following me? What I'm doing on this thing? Damn. So, we pulled that, and here's the demonstration. 18 inches, basically you got a return over direct expenses of $410 to $22.71. On the control, you're putting on almost 22 inches, well, we're close to 4 inches. Return over direct expenses at $4.59. And then a return per acre inch though of 21. So the first thing you should be able to conclude is the more water you put on, the more money you make. Duh. It's worth something, isn't it? So basically, the additional water is worth $48.97 per acre. So always keep that in mind. The more water you got, the more money you can make. However, on the other hand, if we start doing this, so we take this $4.59, this is what you made, above direct expenses, minus what the control demonstration made, $4.10, minus the basically the water, additional water you applied, you're getting $13 per acre inch for that 3 inches or whatever, 3-4 inches. Okay. Compared to the overall average, which was 22 on the demonstration, 21 on the control. So that way, then you can go ahead and calculate that loss. Okay? So when I talk about the loss of value, so you could have got it if you could get this, but if you did not use it, you can take that 2271 per acre inch times the 21, that comes out to 495. So basically what you're saying is we're taking this 2271 times the 2183 inches. It could have been more, and that would be 495 minus the 459. Where is it? There it is, under the control. So the value, or what you're losing on that, is $36.56, which basically is the value of that water. Okay? Whether you misapplied it, or whether you save it and use it the next year, because the one thing we do know Because water does not increase around here. I want to bring up one more thing. Does everybody follow what I did there? So there's another way of looking at it. Two different ways of looking at it. You know, grossly, you can talk about $50, $60, $70 an acre based on the experiment. Or you can talk about looking at the net, and we're looking at around $36 an acre, $37 an acre. This work. We can look at the Missouri deal, and they're showing what? A bunch of money. They're showing, again, 7-8% on corn. Okay, increase in efficiency. Want to bring up one more study, and this is, of course, on my mind a lot because I'm working on it. The regional water plan. And basically, the implementation of irrigation scheduling is one of the conservation strategies that's been a part of that regional water plan for the last 20, 25 years. Back when I had peeps, I make them look all the way through the research. Everything is done in bushland, everything is done around, and it really indicates that 2 to 3 acre inches can be saved, okay, on corn through accurate irrigation scheduling. So what's assumed in the regional water plan is regardless of the crop, you save 10% if you can get this thing working right. Here's what I wanted to bring up, and we got Dave in the back here, don't we? Are you paying attention to me, Dave? Is this thing about right? The estimated cost for irrigation scheduling is somewhere between $6 to $12 an acre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty fair.
And sometimes, you know, it may be on the probes you're putting in, you know, extra cost to begin with, and then it's prorated out to buy and bring them, this type of thing. Now, what I say the value of that irrigation scheduling was? 36. 12, 36, 12, 36. I don't know. Does that work? 12, 36. Kind of, sort of. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Now you know, are you just blindly irrigating or your normal irrigation pattern? Maybe you already implemented parts of it. That would cut down on benefit. Again, the summary is corn yields increased just about close to 10% per acre inch compared to normal producer. And again, you gotta remember when they set that up, you're just supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You can do what you normally do, and then you had Leon twisting your arm saying, well, do this, do that, as far as scheduling. In general, more water applied, the greater the returns, about RAD. However, the value of misapplied water is significantly less. And again, obviously, price goes down, the impact of irrigation scheduling goes down too. Because you're getting less of that water. Short-term, limited water, and you optimally reallocate the water. Again, what we're showing, the adjustment was 60 to 100, but that's a gross approach. This is much better to me, somewhere around 36 bucks. But it could be a little bit lower. It could be lower if that price decreases, okay, for later use. Now, again, it is retained. Two things you gotta remember, even if you don't, and you save that water. Remember, you are going down your return on direct expenses to begin with. If you aren't applying that water, you do save it. But that is retaining the land value and extends the useful life. Final thoughts. Cost effectiveness of irrigation scheduling will depend on the crop grown. Obviously, it's probably less valuable in sorghum, wheat. What level of irrigation scheduling are you practicing now? If you are practicing some. You know, obviously, we can make improvements, and hopefully some of the things you hear in the next day or so today will help you improve your irrigation scheduling or make you think in the direction you want to go. Amount of water you typically apply, obviously it's worth less if you're only putting 10 inches on versus 20. And of course the price of the crop. The value of water applied non-optimally is significantly less at average. to below average prices, you're basically giving it away. And I did extend that analysis. And if you don't watch it and you get a low crop price, and you're putting on that water and getting that lower return, you remember how that dropped from 21 to 12? Well, you drop that price and all of a sudden that value goes from, let's say, 15 to basically 0 on those last 3 inches applied, 4 inches applied. So you are basically giving away, you know, you're increasing return. Keep in mind, it may be a long-term versus short-term. Okay? Is that you may just end up saving the water, but you'll have that water to pump again next year. It wouldn't be done. Okay, any questions?
You know, through this process, I bring water in across the turn row from one of the farms of mine into our Russell partnership.
Oh, I thought they're familiar.
And put the value on that water, you know, to compensate is a hard thing to come up with, the value of that water from that other well. But through this, you've kind of given us some
Give you some guidelines.
guidelines.
Yeah, how you compensate, you know, or, yeah. Yeah, I think from that you can kind of get a feel for what you should be doing or how you should be doing, because you're coming in from your own land, right? You're
Uh-huh.
just allocating it. Yeah, yeah, that kind of gives you some guidelines or a way of calculating.
Yeah. It's hard to put a number on water.
Oh, yeah. All your questions are answered. It's time for break.